Hey there, we're going to go ahead and pick right up where we left off in our lesson for creating enemy spaceships. So hopefully your screen looks like this. We'll review how we got there. Let's see. So we created the enemy object. So, the whole add new object, sprite. We held down control, and if you hold down control and, uh, you know, move him over, you will actually duplicate your enemy. We added a behavior to the enemy sprite. We added this turret behavior. Turret behavior is kind of like a firing mechanism that will allow your enemy or player, I guess, in the future, perhaps if you want to use this, to kind of like shoot all around and target your player. We adjusted the turret behavior. Remember, we adjust things by going to our property bar, and this is where your behaviors are. And this is how you can adjust or style, is what I like to call it, your behaviors. We created the enemy bullet because we can't just have an enemy, we've got to actually fire something. Remember, not only did we create it, but we also dragged it off screen to begin with. We programmed our enemy. So we came over here to our event tab and we said that our enemy should have this turret behavior and we would like him to spawn enemy bullets, as well as our bullets would like to go 90 degrees. 0 degrees. And then last but not least, on the start of layout, we wanted to make sure that as soon as the game begins, that our enemies started firing at us. So we went right here, we added one more event, and on our system, we, on the beginning of, like, whenever you start playing the game, our enemy starts shooting the player. So where we left off was right here, calculating enemy distance with Pythagorean theorem. So at first I got a little spooked because I'm like, math, but it's okay. What we are doing here is we are going to adjust the turret behavior to be able to allow the range. So if I come over here to my game and I click on the enemy, I'm going to click on all my enemies at once, I'll see that the very first style is range. Now, when I click on range, you can see what range does right here. It says the range in pixels the turret can detect targets. So all we're doing with this slide here is we are trying to say, well, how many pixels do we need to be able to allow our enemy to detect our spaceship? So all we're trying to say is, like, how far away is our enemy going to be from our player at any given time, because we want to make sure that the player is within the range. So what the game curriculum had done for us was they actually used Pythagorean theorem, saying that our furthest distance will be from the top left corner to the bottom right corner. So they applied a squared plus b squared equals c squared, giving us that hypotenuse of the triangle. Don't worry, they've got it all down for us. They're really just trying to figure out what's the diagonal of this layout. So the length of the diagonal is going to be 141,468 pixels. We'll round up and we'll go ahead and say 1,469. So that is just saying that no matter where the player is on the screen, our enemy will be able to pick it up. So what I want you to do right here is you're going to click on enemy spaceship and notice they'll all become illuminated. If you just clicked on one and changed his range, you would only change that one spaceship's range. We want to actually click on all of them. It's very tedious to hold down shift and go like that. I mean, you could do it, but it's going to be so much easier to click all of your, or illuminate or highlight all of your spaceships at once, simply by clicking on the enemy spaceship over here. And now we can adjust the range for all of them. Reminder, the range is just saying, well, how far in pixels can the turret detect targets? So how far away do we want to make sure that, our enemy could detect our player? You can even put a larger number in here, 2,000, for example. Because that would say, well, as long as this enemy is 2,000 pixel units away, or 2,000 pixels away, it will be able to recognize or pick up our target. So we like to try and use the approximate number only because it might save some space in terms of like memory usage for your game, but it will also work as in all of them, right? If you have a number larger than the diagonal of your layout screen. All right, so rotate the enemy object. If you preview your game now, you might notice that the enemy spaceships will fire. However, depending on your ship's orientation, they might not be firing from the front of the ship. So I'm going to go ahead, play my game, see what's up. Really interesting. Did you see how... Check that out. Did you see how when my enemies are firing, they're actually not firing from the front of the ship? So what we're going to do here is we are going to go ahead, double click on one of our enemies, and we want to actually turn him to face to the right. So in order to do so, we'll go ahead and do this. And if I run my game, I should now see that he's shooting from the front of the ship. But it's still kind of bothering me because they all started off this way, right? So I could either leave them like that, or if I highlight them all again, I can actually manually rotate their starting position right here. And now if I preview my game, they are good to go. Sweet. Save your game. File save. And the last piece of this is explore the turret behavior. So if you click on all your spaceships, you should see that these are all your different styles. So the range is going to be how far the turret could detect targets. So how far away that these guys can detect the enemy. Rate of fire, this is a fun one. The time to shoot in seconds. So maybe you're like, they're taking too long to shoot. If I change that to 1, 2, 3. They're going really, really, really fast. Or maybe you'd want to go ahead and change this to 10. So I think I'm going to just leave mine at 5 for now. And we'll call it on that.